so have the incidences of lung disease and asthma related directly to the former real steel mill pollution. We don't want a recreation of the similar pollution situation in Westmoreland County. We are concerned about the Kalinowski farm and how their rights and property are being violated by the ruling against Mr. Kalinowski and his family. Tenaska should not be allowed to commandeer anyone's property for their purposes by allowing runoff from the power plant to fall upon his property or anyone else's against their will. We want the outcome of the ruling changed to be in favor of Mr. Kalinowski so that in his property and other people's property are not damaged by the runoff. We
do have to wrap it up.
Okay.
In conclusion, just
Yeah,
real
I'll let-
quick, I'm going to help her
Okay.
because
Okay.
she has some, it's not easy for her.
We ask you to formally.
What she's saying is, one thing that we like to express is, I handed you all an article. It talks about the earthquakes that are in, that have been done in, that have recently happened in Dallas, in Ohio, etc., and how fracking has made us susceptible. Bottom line, we have a concern about whether the plant would be able to withstand any seismic impact of earthquakes, as that is a known side effect now of Marcellus shale fracking. I will be speaking myself, but I just wanted to help her close her final point.
Thank you very much. Thank you, ma'am.
And here's a copy.
Who is, next speaker? Do we have another speaker?
My name is Bill Catalina.
Bill?
Hi, William Catalina. I'd like to thank Ted personally for coming out to my residence. Mr. Anderson, Mr. Courtney. I would like to say, we've got my time right now, that you can address the water. Okay. I don't know much about particulate matter. I don't know much about any of the scientific stuff. I do know that my home is 100 yards from a clean water drinking spring, where I'm going to get my water. My backyard argument. I don't know if you ever heard of Operation Chaos, but I'll guarantee you this. Right now I've got 7,000 members. You won by 7,000 votes. You won by less than 5. I'll guarantee you, commissioners, this. Ted, I appreciate you, and I'll make absolutely sure that anyone that voted for you does not vote for anybody that I put up there, or anybody, if I happen to run and get 7,000 votes. But I'll tell you this, if Tenaska, that plant goes in, you two are looking for a job. I'll guarantee you that. I'm a passionate individual. I do not give up. If you step in and help these residents and guard our health, there's a school less than a mile that's 4 short laps. They're going to, I don't know if these are a bunch of numbers, 8 million tons of garbage from a 6-year-old lungs until the time they get out of that elementary school to the middle school. If you guys sit back and let that happen, I guarantee you, you two are looking for a job.
Next speaker?
Marcus Today, I live on 330 Charlie's Road.
Mark?
My concern is local water quality. Growing up, I lived in Rosemont, Alberta, where everyone
Can't hear you.
I grew up in Alberta, where everyone had local wells. Every summer, we had to conserve our water. And if you washed like 2 loads of clothes together, you ran out of water, and you had to wait like an hour or so before the well filled back up, and you had to prime your pump. And it was a hassle. So whenever I had a well drilled, that was my big concern: what kind of water I'll be able to get. Now in the summertime, I have a garden. I can turn on the garden hose for an hour and a half and just let it water. I have no problem. Now on top of the hill, they're going to put a 400 by 500 foot slab of asphalt. All that water is not going to drain into the soil. It's going to run off down through Kalinowski's property. And not only that, the water on top of the hill from Joe's that hits that rock ledge, they're going to put in 3 major cuts into it. One's going to be the natural gas coming in. They're going to cut it in there. One is the 5 million gallons of water. They're going to cut another line in there. They're going to cut a 3rd line in there for the water to run off. So the water that's in that rock ledge, instead of going down in the soil, will probably hit those pipelines and drain out. So my concern is all the local wells around us, how's that going to affect them? We all going to have to, start watching our water during the summer. So we just want our wells tested. And like Cynthia said, if you haven't tested, you have to have them tested in the summer. So all I'm asking for time that we can do the test to show what our water is and see how this is going to affect it. And a short, like a month, they're going to start digging down like 50 feet to hit the rock ledge. So there's not time for us to show what our water quality is like and what our water is like. So I'm just asking that you delay it so we get time to check our wells.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Linda Irwin, 317 Stance Road, Russell here. Ted, I appreciate you returning my phone call very much to talk about my concerns. I haven't had the opportunity to speak with the other two of you. I recently, my family and I, we own a 100-acre farm about 1.5 miles from the proposed Tenaska location. You know, my parents are older. I moved back about 4 years ago to help care for them and as they age. And we've thought about selling our farm because it's a lot for us to maintain, but we're constantly drawn to being farmers at heart. We live in a rural community. Most of our neighbors own farms or raise animals, raise gardens, etc. The gentleman that farms our farm farms 2,400 acres in our surrounding county. With the proposed Tenaska plant, you know, agriculture is a large business in Westmoreland County. There would be a lot of acid rain that would result in the mix of the water in the air with the chemicals coming down. It would pollute our soil, and it would really have an impact to our agricultural business. Many of you probably buy produce from roadside farm stands. How would you know what kind of quality the vegetables are? How would we know that? What kind of studies have we done on the soil? What kind of economic impact have we assessed would be to farmers in the area? Pennsylvania is the number 4 in the nation for dairy farms. Westmoreland County has a significant number of those farms. If those animals are grazing on the grass and and being fed from crops that are polluted with the chemicals coming out, how can you feel comfortable drinking the milk produced by those farms, eating the vegetables produced by those farms, and not have a question about the safety of what you're putting into your own body, aside from what we're going to be exposed to with the obvious standing pollution that would come from the power plant. In addition, I mentioned that we've thought about selling our farm in the past. There was a study done by the University of California, Berkeley in May of 2010, and it's called The Effect of Power Plants on Local Housing Values and Rent by Lucas Davis. In the paper, it says, compared to neighborhoods with similar housing and demographic characteristics, neighborhoods within 2 miles of plants experienced 3 to 7% decreases in housing values and rents, with some evidence of large decreases within 1 mile and for large capacity plants.
Thank you very much.
Let me sum up, please. In summary, this Tenaska plant would be the largest natural methane gas power plant on the East Coast and in the state of Pennsylvania. You need to protect us. You are the only 3 stopping what's going to happen to us. We care about our health. I don't want to die. I'm passionate about this. I want to live. I came to help my parents. I don't want to die. Do you?
You never know.
I'm Dr. Harvey Bendix, graduate of Penn State University in Animal Sciences, Doctor of Veterinary Medicine, University of Pennsylvania, past president of Pennsylvania Veterinary and Western Pennsylvania Veterinary Medical Association. My wife Diane and I live right below the proposed plant. A lot of the other areas have been addressed in terms of the air pollution, water pollution. I'm not going to go into that area. I'm going to go into some of the areas that my expertise is. I'll first talk about wildlife and farming. The area of the proposed plant is the home to a wide variety of fish and wildlife. There are wetlands and some of the properties below the neighboring properties. There is an area of refuge and a wide variety of migratory birds, including ducks, geese, hawks, owls, falcons, turkeys, and herons. Our streams have turtles, muskrats, and a wide variety of fish. The woods are the homes to a wide variety of small wildlife and mammals and a large deer population. Hunters seek their deer harvest in the woods and fields around the proposed plant. A stray bullet could damage a gas line or a storage tank and risk an explosion. Birds and wildlife that depend on our area waterways would be swimming and drinking toxins from our contaminated waterways and feeding off of contaminated fields. This would result in the death of wildlife and/or decreased breeding and reproduction in the wild animal population. The deforestation of the trees will destroy cover and nesting sites for migratory birds. Was a study done on the effects of the plant on fish and wildlife? Is one required? Any other impact studies required on the environment other than air and water pollution? Was a study done to see if there are any endangered species that would be affected by the development of this plant? The area around the proposed plant is also the home to several farmers who raise livestock. This includes cows, horses, sheep, goats, llamas, chickens, and pigs. There are exotic animals at a private zoo nearby. These animals would be exposed to the air and water and soil pollution produced by the plant. How will the proposed plant affect the trees in the area with the pollution emissions? Several trees will need to be cleared to build the plant. There goes the beauty of the neighborhood. When we bought our home, a neighbor told us there were Indian burial grounds in the hills below the proposed plant. Is Tenaska required to do an archaeology survey? I also teach animal disaster medicine at the community college. So what are the disaster risks? Once the plant starts to be built, the residents of South Huntington Township and neighboring communities will have the risk of gas explosion, fire at the facility, fires such as wildfires, gas leaks, chemical pollution, water pollution, air pollution, health risks. We read in the paper or hear on the radio of gas pipelines leaking, exploding, or creating fire. With the gas pipeline of this plant only at 267 feet away from the school, are we going to be able to evacuate our children fast enough? The fire would spread rapidly through the nearby fields and homes, and our children would be placed in severe danger. The fire would expose them to thermal risks and life-threatening gases such as carbon monoxide, sulfur emissions, methane, and particulate matter ingestion and inhalation. Okay, thank you. So, in summary, okay, we, the residents of South Huntington Township, Westmoreland County, respectively submit to our elected representatives and all governmental agencies involved in development of Tenaska plant that you reject all applications and permits for this project to continue. Please save the homes, lives, and welfare of the members of our community. They are trusted you to protect them when they elected you and appointed you to office. Thank you very much.
Next speaker. Do we have another speaker? Yes, ma'am.
Stephanie Novak, 130 Gacy Street, Lober. So, I grew up in Sutersville, which is a small town. It's located right along the Yawk. When I was little, I would walk down to the stream to fish and to play on the stream bank. I ride my bike along the trail from Sutersville to West Newton. And now, I'm fortunate because I get to spend my time working as Mountain Watershed Association's community organizer. So for 2 years now, I've been taking water samples and analyzing water quality data in the Yawk. And I'm proud that my organization has taken protective measures to protect the Yawk and to make sure that it remains a living river, adding value to our community. So Tenaska is proposing this gas-fired power plant, which will discharge 1.2 million gallons of wastewater per day, and that's going to contain chemicals such as chromium, zinc, chlorine, fluoride, bromide. Those are just naming a few, at 110 degrees Fahrenheit. So Mountain Watershed has done a thorough review of their permit application, and we've submitted a formal comment to DEP, and I'm going to provide each of you with a copy of that formal comment. So after you've had a chance to review it, you'll see, it's very easy to see, that DEP did not require Tenaska to develop the strictest regulations possible in their application. So as a result, I really urge all three of you to question DEP's oversight process to ensure that the most stringent regulations are put into place, which will then minimize the impact on the young. So please perform your own review of this permit application and take action based on your findings. The Yacht is a drinking water source for 134,000 people. It's a valuable resource and is used for fishing, kayaking, and swimming. Many businesses in the area rely on that recreation for the local economy. So I really ask you to invest in a clean and sustainable future for the generations to come. And as home of the Youghiogheny Riverkeeper, Mountain Watershed also urges you to be an advocate for the protection of this natural resource. And I'd just like to finish by saying, in my community, the Yacht, it's a part of our essence. It's a part of who we are as a people. And as our commissioners, you have the ability, and therefore you have the responsibility to take action to ensure that the protection and the preservation of the Yacht and the value that it holds to our community. It's very near and dear to our hearts. Thank you.
All right. She did better.
Next speaker? We have another speaker?
Carol,
Yes?
you going? I thought that was, I didn't see something.
I'm sorry, what's your name? Teresa?
Diane Austin, 2141. Diane Austin,
I don't have
2141.
anything really prepared, but, because all I have is 3 minutes, plead for my children, my family, my home. You three gentlemen are our only stopping grounds for this. We have a school, I hear the kids at recess, we have a school right down the road from us, a mile from this plant. I watch the winds go over our hillside. They go right down to that school. It's already been proven where the prevailing winds go. I am at a loss on how this is even, the children aren't even taken into consideration. It's, all I hear is tax money, which this company, half the time they get, most of the time they get an abatement, or they only pay 25% of taxes for 10 years. We don't get that option. And those kids, they have to wait outside for the school bus. They have to go outside at recess every day. How am I supposed to tell my kids, stop looking at the TV, you all have children. You have grandchildren. How do you tell them, go outside and get some fresh air? Go outside and play at recess. We try to give them organic foods. We try to make sure that they have made in USA toys so that they're not exposed to stuff. And now, our county is allowing this toxic air to flow right over their school, to allow a gas line right behind their school. There's no evacuation in progress. There's in place, I'm sorry, I'm upset. There's, the fire department for Turkeytown is all volunteer. They're proposing that only Smithton can handle it. Smithton is all the way down 70. They would have to take 70 and hope that there isn't such a disaster that 31's closed to get to the school. We had a fire truck come to our house during one of the snowstorms. It slid down our hill to get to the school. I mean, we were like right by the school. There's a hill like this. The fire truck slid down the school, and PennDOT slid into a yard trying to clear the road just to get to our house. So what's going to happen if there's a disaster in the middle of the winter? I can't even imagine that this is even proposed, that it has even gotten this far. With all those little children, the children can't speak. You are the voices for these kids. Your child, they might not be going to this school. Your children are young. 20 years from now, they may meet somebody and fall in love with a kid that went to this school for their entire school career. I don't know why my wife has cancer. She's only 25. You know, what am I supposed to do when my kid comes in starts getting a chronic cough? have asthma symptoms? Are they doing a baseline on all these children's blood? On all the people's blood? I have 3 minutes to fight for my home, my family, and my children. You guys are our only hope. And by saying, you know, we'll vote you out in November, yes, that may sound as an attack to you. We're being attacked. We can't fight. If you have an intruder coming into your home, you have a couple minutes maybe to defend yourself, hopefully. We have 3 minutes for everything we've worked for and everything we've moved to this country, into the country, to have fresh air for our kids, so that they can learn how to garden, so that they could have an agricultural experience. The American dream.
Thank you, Teresa. Thank you very much.
That's so fun. Very good. Somebody
Another
got it.
speaker? Yes, sir.
I yield my time to my daughter.
Me.
Okay, well, the gentleman back is in front of you.
My name is Timothy Swinecki. I'm a resident of Westmoreland County. Mr. Courtney, you have 2 children. Do you feel comfortable having them attend school 1 mile away?
Speaking of the mic.
Mr. Anderson, you have 5 grandchildren. Would you feel safe sending them to school every day 1 mile from the power plant? And Mr. Kopis, you as well, you have 5 children. Would you feel safe sending them to school 1 mile from a power plant? I don't know if I can do this. Can I have a raise of hands from people today who aren't here for the Tenaska power plant? Is there anybody here who's not for the Tenaska power plant? Okay. Well, anybody out there, if you have children, do you feel safe sending them to school 1 mile away from the power plant?
Good job, my friend. Good job. 3 minutes.
So, one thing that I didn't get to address in my 3 minutes is, Robinson Township, they recently, the Supreme Court overturned they upheld their lawsuit suing for not having Tenaska up in Robinson Township. That was, I believe, in 2014. I have a copy of the article for you guys.